Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to Big Mike's Indie Game Showcase, the series where I take an in-depth look at indie games. In this episode, we are going to be looking at Gravity Runner by Two Dog Games, a game for PC. Gravity Runner, as I'm sure can be deduced from the name, is a runner and a platformer in the form of a physics-based game. It's a unique adrenaline-pumping experience in which you must jump from platform to platform in order to escape an ever-encroaching black hole. The way I like to describe it is like this. It's like that 3D segment from The Simpsons' Treehouse of Horror 6, rooftop-to-rooftop parkour, and Sonic Fury's wall chase in Hydrocity Zone Act 2 all rolled into one. One of the most defining aspects of this game is its 80s aesthetics. The dominant colors, the purple-colored world, and the neon blocks all fit this motif rather nicely, as does the grid floor. Have you ever seen one of those memes done in an 80s style? If so, the overarching aesthetics of this game will seem very familiar to you. In regards to other aspects of the design, Gravity Runner is as equally impressive. Gravity Runner is a game that takes place across 14 different worlds, with each world having its own unique design. For example, one world is inhabited by palm trees, while another is a cityscape, and still another is a sci-fi setting with a giant Death Star-esque object in the background. All of these diverse locations are unified by a purple hue in a seemingly endless horizon. As great as the visuals are, the soundtrack which accompanies them are even better. But this isn't a competition. Oh no, fam. The retro-inspired synth music fits perfectly with the 80s aesthetics. In fact, I'd say while playing in some of the more intense sections of the stages, the music makes me feel as if I'm in an 80s action movie. Also, I'm not sure if it's just me being weird, cause I do tend to be quite weird, as I'm sure all of you are aware by now. But some of this excellent music brings to mind the F-Zero franchise. The soundtrack was composed by the extraordinarily gifted Alan Del Castagni, and please forgive me if I butchered your name. His excellent soundtrack has garnered praise from critics, but more on that at the end of the video. Before we jump into discussing the gameplay, it would probably be a great idea to talk a bit about the game's story. You're an astronaut trying to outrun an ever-expanding black hole, and in order to do that, you must make your way through each world, jumping from platform to platform until you reach the end, in which you must jump in a vortex to be transported to the next world. And that's it. Now, gameplay-wise, things aren't that simple. See, remember that black hole I keep bringing up? The one you're thinking I should probably marry because I can't shut up talking about it? Well, first off, I would marry it if it was single. But secondly, and more importantly, it likes to complicate things. As I'm sure can be easily imagined, having a black hole mere meters away from you can cause gravity to behave strangely, which in turn causes the platforms to behave weirdly. And this is most noticeable when you die and respawn. Speaking of which, there are no lives here. You can die and respawn as much as you like. Well, that is until the black hole catches up with you. However, while you will respawn at the last checkpoint, the platforms you came into contact with will still be affected by any actions you performed before your death. Sometimes as a result of your death, the gravity will really wreak havoc in an area and may even cause it to be uncrossable, forcing you to wait to get a game over to continue. There are multiple pathways you can take through a stage. Taking some pathways will feel as if you're jumping from platform to platform without even thinking, while others will have you thinking of your next move as if it was a game of chess. Throughout each level, you'll find cassette tapes.
Like, what is a cassette tape?
Ah, that's a thing mommies and daddies used to play to listen to music before CDs.
What is a CD?
Those are compact discs mommies and daddies used to play to listen to music before MP3 players.
What is a MP3 player?
Damn it, now I feel old. So these cassettes are scattered throughout each level, and the really cool thing here is that they're not out of your way either.
So why collect these cassettes?
Ah, now you're asking the good questions. So these audio tapes serve two functions. First, they add an ultra useful second jump. This ability comes particularly in handy if you land on a not so sturdy platform, or if you make a mistake in your jumps. If you have any tapes and you die, you will unfortunately lose that ability, however. Also, if you don't use it soon after collecting a cassette, you will lose it as well. Secondly, these tapes can be collected to unlock certain levels of the game. So, what do you think is the goal of this game? The first time I played Gravity Runner, I just assumed the goal was to survive and to make it to the end of the game. But actually the goal is to get a high score. The more jumps you successfully make and the further you get, the higher your score. On the other hand, falling to your death into the purple void of 80s nostalgia, bumping into obstacles, and using your double jump are all going to cost you points. So, with all of that out of the way, how do I actually feel about this game? Well, Gravity Runner is one hell of an adrenaline pumping ride, and one that I found myself coming back to time and time again over the past couple of months. But here are my in-depth thoughts on this amazing game. The design. The whole 80s aesthetic makes this game really stand out and adds to this one-of-a-kind experience. This was Josh's aim. In an interview with Beta Tested, Game Reviewed, he said, quote, "I hadn't really seen that look used for this type of game before, and thought it would be a unique selling point," end quote. And in my humble opinion, it was the right call. The soundtrack, the retro-inspired synth music with the visuals serve as the perfect 1-2 combo to make this one unforgettable experience. But even on its own, the music is worthy of a great deal of praise. Beta Tested Game Reviewed said in their review of the game, quote, "The experience that you receive for the price that you will pay is well worth it just for the soundtrack alone," end quote. And you'd be hard-pressed to find someone to disagree with that. While on the subject of music, one of the things I really love is the attention to detail. Whenever I see this in a game, I can tell a developer really put a great deal of thought and effort into their game. One instance of this that caught my eye is when the black hole is close to you. Everything slows down. Movement, music, etc. Another important factor for me was the gameplay, which is pretty straightforward. The controls are very simple, and so it's easy just to pick up and play. And this makes the game more accessible. Lastly, Gravity Runner has a great deal of replayability. This is partly due to the fact that each level contains multiple pathways for it. However, I'd say the biggest factor in regards to replayability would be on the one hand because the game's objective is to simply set a higher score, while on the other It's quite fun. And that's going to do it for this episode of Big Mike's Indie Game Showcase. Please join me in my next video as I sit down for a conversation over coffee with Josh, the man behind Two Dog Games, and somebody I consider a good friend. I want to personally thank the amazingly gifted VTuber and good friend of mine, Gaia Goddess, for helping me with her voice work. Special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job doing my art. A special thanks to all of my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without you all. And most importantly, a special thank you to all of you for watching. Please like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it. Feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. And if you like my content, please subscribe and turn your notifications on. Until next time, fam, peace out.